Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast, your go-to source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We hope you tune in often for all things people management, organizational development and change, organizational leadership, and social impact related. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with Human Capital Innovations Podcast. Welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. In this HCI podcast episode, I talk with Robertson about the human vector, employee productivity, and company success. Robertson, welcome to the Human Capital Innovations Podcast.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have a chance to chat with you. It was fun just chatting a little bit in the pre-interview and, talking a little bit about our shared love for books and international travel. And I'm excited to explore your book with you today, The Human Vector. And today we're going to be focusing on that concept, the human vector, and how it connects with employee productivity and company success. As we get started, I just wanted to share Rod's bio with everybody. Rod Robertson is an international entrepreneur and co-author of the book, The Human Vector. Robertson is the owner of Briggs Capital, a boutique international investment bank. He has conducted business in over 15 countries while focusing on developing small to medium-sized businesses and taking them to market worldwide. Robertson's 20-plus year career in transaction experience and entrepreneurship includes guest lecturing around the globe at institutions such as Harvard Business School and other top-flight MBA schools, as well as business forums and news outlets worldwide. He sits on numerous boards guiding firms to streamline operations and make businesses more profitable before selling. Excellent background. Again, we share a love for international travel and international business, and I'm super excited to learn more about you and your book and the insights that we can share with our insights we can share with my listeners today. Before we dive on in, anything else you would like to share by way of personal background or context for listeners?
For me, life's been a big adventure. And, I'm a businessman by default in many ways. And because I enjoy the human psychology of business and what it means. The numbers are the numbers. I'm an investment banker by default. And it's a great place to be to deal with really smart people. So this has allowed me to have this platform to meet men like yourself and my co-author on this, Oleg Kondrashov, out of Belarus. And, life's just been great. And I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts and insights that I've gathered over all the years and how it's all come funneled down into the human vector.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, let's start there with what you mean by the human vector. How would you define that or explain that to a novice, someone who comes across your book for the first time?
Sure. Oleg, the young guy, they call him the Bill Gates, or I call him the Bill Gates of Belarus, the small country that's attached to Russia where they do a lot of technology. He is an amazing young guy, sort of like Dr. Spock on Star Trek. Physicist, PhD, all those good things, young age, started 15, 20 companies, big incubator, government speaker, just quite a guy. And I met him and we kept walking and talking. And, part of my life has been in developing and bringing companies to grow rapidly or to downsize rapidly before a transaction. And it's to me, tracking the money and profitability is everything. So the human vector really interested me as he explained it to me. Basically, it's the characteristics of the thought leadership of a founder of an organization like Oleg. And what he does is he has certain thoughts on how he wants to run his business. Some guys run them raggedy. Other people are, scientific. Other people do. Every entrepreneur runs his business differently. But Oleg has developed a methodology that's proven out in Eastern Europe, now in Europe, and now we're deploying it in the United States with over 2,000 business coaches. So it has strong merit. It's been proven in the marketplace. And the vector is the characteristics of the organization, and it's the characteristics of the employees, and meshing them so that they have the same dream and they can follow the owner. And so this is where it begins, is, meshing their dreams, but in a scientific approach. This is not, philosophy. This is not, feeling good about the organization. This is adhering scientifically in a mathematical approach to following the ownership to profitability.
Excellent, excellent. So maybe you can describe for listeners a little bit about what that approach looks like and what that calculus is for better understanding the human piece behind the productivity and profitability.
Sure. So we just described the human vector, and then there's what Oleg's created is called the funnel, and it appears like a funnel, and it's the deviation of the employees from the dreams and policies of the ownership and the acceptable deviations. And so we have the vector, we have the funnel, and then we have the angle of the employees. And the angle of the employees is their loyalty to the machine. So they have to be lined up to be great employees when they're hired. They have to drink the company Kool-Aid with the owner and follow it. Because, in this day and age, with the tribalism, especially in the United States, the dysfunction in the workplace, HR is in chaos. Who can they hire? Who can they fire? Ethnic groups, all these issues that have swamped America over the last 6 months. And then, with the virus has, really almost disemboweled many of the HR departments, and they're paralyzed and frozen and making terrible decisions. And so the vector makes everyone work together as a team and proceed ahead. It's the vector, the bigger the company gets, the further it gets away from the ownership and the less he can control the company. So he has to set some rigid guidelines here that are outlined in the book about what the vector is and how you go about first starting to hire people. And then, John, for instance, with 36% of the people working at home, these people are out of sight, out of mind. I mean, Bill Gates said, I think 2 days ago, that 40% of the airline travel is going to be down 40% for business forever. There's half the people that are going to be working at home, and then the other big chunk of people are going to be swing at work. And how do you control the people that are off-site? I mean, the vector is one that helps qualify, and it helps track and monitor employees' activities in a fashion that is not onerous, but it weeds out the people that are in disharmony with the machine.
Yeah, well, and what I hear you talking to is what I would term value congruence within an organization. And so, as an organizational leader, I want people on my team that connect with and are consistent with the organizational values. And I want that for the organization so that we can be successful, we can be productive, we don't have people pulling us in different directions. Mm-hmm. But I want it for my people, because they're not going to be fulfilled or happy doing work in an organization where they aren't a good fit, where they don't buy into the mission and the strategy and the stated values and culture of the leadership. And so I think it's really important on both sides to really tap into this shared sense of value and purpose, and to the extent possible, attract and retain people that match that, and then promote that way as well. And you're right, I think a lot of organizations don't do that particularly well. They really struggle in trying to identify what are the key characteristics, the knowledge, skills, abilities, and capabilities of A players that are going to be a good fit with the team. It's a really hard thing, and organizations struggle with it. So you're suggesting that you have an approach that can help kind of clean up that mess and streamline the process. So I guess my question is, how did you guys figure it out and get it right when a lot of other organizations are really struggling with it?
It was on an international basis. It was a fun project in the beginning, but we all know about Six Sigma, lean management, all these fairly staid and domestic programs of lean management. And so the book, however, and the methodology has taken on really a strong, and the reason why we're getting such great traction with it is because of the pandemic. It has just brought chaos to the world. And, you know, like in China, everyone has the same DNA. They all think alike, work alike, and they follow the machine. Even in Norway, the people are all from the same pool, and they think in America, we have what they call 11 tribes. And everyone's doing their own thing, and it's a rodeo. And so, you know, with the pandemic thrown on top of the rodeo, there has just been chaos. And so there has to be a strong systematic approach that are going in. Companies are, this year, you know, I'm lucky enough to sit on a lot of boards from banks to law schools to everything. And everyone has been very giving and caring to the employees. This is coming to an end at the end of this year. Everyone's got the free government money. Everyone's had their unemployment. It's all, you know, waning now. And the start of next year is going to be a totally different program. There's going to be big cuts, you know, and they're only going to keep the best and the brightest and the most motivated employees. And they only want to hire the correct people. And it's going to be tougher to get a job because it's going to be, you know, a lot of it interviewing online and all those things. So they're going to weed out the chaff, you know, the people that are sitting at home and stretching and doing yoga at noon, whereas before they were getting pounded by the boss at lunchtime, where's your productivity? I mean, productivity is slipping on the 50% of the people that are absent from the workplace right now. And this is only going to continue. But in the first quarter, all across the country, there's going to be big cuts from these people. And these people are going to have to wake up or get involved in the vector of their company and pursue the right course of action to keep their job and be productive.
I'm excited to announce the publication of my new book from HCI Press, The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership: Ordinary, Everyday Actions that Produce Extraordinary Results. Consider how the nature of work has shifted over the past 50 years. With increased globalization, rapid technological advancement, and the shift in economic composition, the average job of today looks very different than the average job of 50 years ago. What will the jobs and organizations of tomorrow look like? Moreover, what does this all mean for organizational leaders? What are the core competencies and capabilities of organizations and their leadership that are prepared for continued disruption and geopolitical and socioeconomic shifts? Regardless of what the future holds, increasingly, leaders need to be socially minded, data-driven, decisive, champions of talent, and disruptors of the traditional notions of leadership, teams, organizations, and work. The Alchemy of Truly Remarkable Leadership will help you to explore your own leadership competencies and capabilities and consider ways to apply and implement them into your workplace and personal life. I'm excited to share my insights with you.
Yeah, I mean, we always need to make sure that we are demonstrating our value as employees to the organization. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but one surefire way to start to erode on at least the perceived value that you bring is disconnect with the trajectory, the strategy, the vision, and the mission of the organization, right? So even if you're a highly skilled person, even if you're actually quite a productive person, if there's that disconnect, again, even if it's only a perceived disconnect, then it can cause problems. And you're right. Right now, in terms of the labor market, it's a buyer's market. So unemployment rates have been high. There's been lots of churn in the labor market. Lots of people who have lost jobs or have gone into furlough or for whatever reason are underemployed. There's a lot of people available, which is actually a really great opportunity for organizations to right size and to find there's a greater pool of potential talent available now than there was prior to the pandemic, when our unemployment rate was so low that it was really hard to find highly talented, capable people, and you'd have to steal them from other organizations. So there's more possibilities now in terms of the talent pool and what organizations can tap into if they know what they want, what they're looking for. They have a way to measure what they're looking for so they can make good decisions and get the right people in. It'll be really interesting to see how things play out in the coming months, because you're right, the government in the U.S., the government assistance programs, are running their course and running out. Now it's possible there'll be a new wave of legislation that could bring additional assistance, but as of yet that hasn't materialized. So we'll see. We'll just have to see how that plays out.
I was just reading this morning because it's my world of investment banking. There was in this year, and especially in the last 4 or 5 months, there's been $50 billion of capital placed in 800 tech companies. And now I'm not talking about the big tech companies, that everyone reads about, but mid-sized and smaller tech companies, because the pandemic has forced a shift from legacy businesses to new businesses. And so with technology, you can go in these offices and count the number of people on your hands over the age of 55 that are in these companies. So, what happens to the people over 55 years old that are caught up in this post-pandemic shakeout? They're more expensive. You can get the young Turk in there, the 26-year-old who's going to chew him up with technology, that older guy. And the older fellow's going to cost you 2 or 3 times, and he's not going to, what these young bucks are, and he's not going to be working as hard. So it's a very wake-up call for anyone that is not tech-driven to get on board with technology in every possible way you can and to recreate yourself, because this is an excuse for organizations to go through and just cut the more expensive people and bring in the younger people. For the young people, this is, they're going to be able to make quantum leaps ahead in business. And they're that traditional thing of moving to one level, then the next, to the next, to the next in an organization. They're going to be able to jump 10 years in seniority in 2 to 3 years, because there's going to be a vacuum created upstairs, and the pivot to technology is allowing all these young people to fill this vacuum that's been created.
Well, and that's an interesting point, because we've been going in that direction for quite a while with the demographics of the labor force. There's we've been on the precipice of this huge cohort of workers leaving the workforce and leaving a bit of a vacuum, and creating opportunity for millennials and Gen Z workers. And so, as organizations have been trying to prepare for that for the last decade and a half, what the pandemic has done is it simply accelerated that process. And it, to your point, it is going to be difficult. Now, of course, age discrimination is a thing, and it's a protected class, and organizations can't do anything blatantly discriminatory. But the reality is that it's going to be a hard situation for a lot of older workers, especially if they haven't kept up their skills and continue to learn and grow, so they can stay sharp and fresh and really bring those capabilities into the workforce. Now, of course, there's nothing necessarily keeping older workers from having done that, but to your point, there are going to be more older workers that haven't kept up with it, and so that's going to be a challenge. That vacuum was starting to happen already. This is accelerating us towards that reality, and just the other nature of the other aspect of this pandemic shift is the reliance, because of social distancing and lockdowns and virtual work, this shift towards technology. So even more than it would have if things had played out naturally, this emphasis on technology and being able to leverage it. And so the digital natives of the millennial and Gen Z generations, they're going to be coming into this workforce cheaper, as you said, with a lot of these skills that are necessary and in some cases quite new. that older generations of workers may not have. And they're going to be in a pretty good situation. But the challenge for organizations isn't going to be just, finding the good talent with the right skills, and managing the labor costs in terms of these age cohorts, but it's also going to be figuring out what are they going to do if they do have all of these older generations of workers starting to leave the workforce. What are they going to do in terms of the institutional knowledge sharing? And they're, even though they may not have the technical skills, they have a lot of relevant experience, both in terms of the structures of the organization, the industry, the particulars and the expertise around their work. And there's going to need to be some sort of a mechanism put in place to share that wealth of knowledge and insight with the younger generation of workers, so that we don't, this vacuum doesn't end up creating a knowledge drain in our economy. I don't know, any thoughts on that or how that connects with the human vector idea?
Yeah, to me, it's like we're all like Major League Baseball players or football players. People have 2, 3, 5-year contracts with companies now. I think, again, just focusing for a second on the other people that are, getting older and moving deeper into their years of work. Finding a young mentor, and I'm just writing an article on this, so it's pretty funny. Is like for what I do, we have a virtual reality company we're trying to sell, and it's really not my game. And I have this young guy I just hired who was, just booted out of Facebook, and he was a little intimidated by me, the big boss, all this. But then once he understood what I didn't know, he burst out laughing, and he's, I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I said no. And so I've made him my tech mentor. He's a great young guy. He's accelerated my learning in 90 days and has really caught me up, and it's been so painful for me. It's hard to overcome 10 years of sludge in my brain that I've led to atrophied. And so, for any listeners that are presently in my position, I encourage them to find a young mentor. And I think there's a great place for everyone to, as a consultant out there too. Why sit there and have to slave away at the machine if you can make the same amount of money and get your write-offs as a 1099, and you can hop around with that skill set you just talked about, and teaching these younger organizations and these people and using your aggregated information of 20 and 30 years and putting it to use on a part-time basis. Go for the under 30. I know we all want our health insurance and everything, but you know what? To look at you, if you say, I'm all set on my health insurance, I just want to be billed. You know what? There's a big life on the other end for people that feel the pressure of being ousted. So embrace it. Find that young mentor, and I really think you should push hard to get yourself tech, and just move ahead as a consultant.
Yeah, well, I like that. And definitely the mentorship piece, I think is super important. It'll be mutually beneficial you can be the mentor and the mentee at the same time. And so can the younger individual, right? Because they're going to get a lot from you and your experience, and you're going to get a lot from them in terms of their fresh perspectives and the technology pieces. It's a win-win. And so finding opportunities, taking ownership over the situation, if I'm an older employee, I should take that opportunity to do that myself. Organizations and organizational leaders probably should be thinking about the mechanisms behind those types of mentorship opportunities so they can provide it for their people as well. Just because they are going to have to be dealing with this knowledge drain, and they need to right size and upskill and prepare their workforce. And so it's a no-brainer. I think that needs to happen. It'll be interesting to see if organizations can rise to the challenge in terms of meeting that need. We have just a few more minutes. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of wrap this up, put a bow on it, give us the last word on the topic related to the book, and how the human vector can lead us to greater productivity and organizational success. And then I want to give you a chance to share with listeners how they can connect with you, find out more about what you're up to, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. So the reason why I was attracted to the vector just has been amplified by today's current events. And for the young people that are just starting into the workforce, it's a great time. The playing field has been whisked clean by the end of the first quarter with all the draconian cuts that are going to come in companies. The young people are just have a clear playing field now to join and use their technology to move ahead and become part of a reset on their organizations. So I think they should be very happy with this. And for middle management, the people in the mid part of the career, they're right in the belly of the beast. They're fine as long as what they in our book, we call them gravitators. They have everyone upper management gravitate to them, the younger peoples. And then my favorite people, which I was one, of course, is the disintegrator, the people, the disruptor, the people that go in there. The book is really, really good. I mean, when you read a book, what are you looking for in a book? Especially a business book. You want 4 or 5 things to stick with you. The rest just, you look at it and it goes on the shelf. And frankly, to me, most business books are very boring. But the vector, I'm telling you, it's got 5 or 6 things in there. The disintegrator, the integrator, the funnel. I mean, he's laid it out and it all makes sense. And these coachings and these, we're having all these coaches that are going to be out there teaching it nationwide. So it'll be a lot of fun. It's timely. And I hope your podcast people give a crack at the book. It's The Human Vector. And I think it's going to be great. And I'm happy to be here. And it's been fun. And I could talk with you endlessly about all these things because they're so exciting. To me, next year is going to be a great year. And, it'll be a little painful in the first quarter, but I think the country's going to come roaring back. We're going to be bigger, stronger than ever. And America is going to really surge ahead of the rest of the world once again.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And how can listeners get connected with you?
Yeah, you could take a look at my website. It's briggscapital.com. And you can go right down, scroll down the homepage, and you'll see the books and some of the courses I've developed on essential entrepreneurship. And, we represent buyers and sellers of companies and companies that need growth capital. We consult with, and we offer a whole wide things for the companies that are growing or companies that unfortunately aren't doing well.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Rod. It has been a real pleasure to speak with you today and to learn more about your book and your background, your career. The time has flown by. But as we wrap things up, I just want to, again, thank you and encourage listeners to reach out to Rod, get connected, check out the book. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
We are excited about the launch of HCI's new magazine, Human Capital Leadership. Human Capital Leadership is a free, interactive e-magazine designed to help individuals, leaders, and organizations find innovative approaches to maximize their human capital potential. We will be publishing issues quarterly in August, November, February, and May. Check out the first issue and let us know what you think. Thanks again for joining us for this episode of the Human Capital Innovations Podcast. I hope you stay healthy and safe and that you have a great week.